Tonight, it's the one and only round for the number twos as vice presidential candidates Mike Pence and Tim Kaine will face off in their nationally televised debate. On the Republican side, Pence is serving his first term as governor of Indiana. Previous to that, he served 6 terms in the House of Representatives. Kaine is the Democratic nominee, represents Virginia in the U.S. Senate. He's also been governor there. The 90-minute debate will give each of the candidates a chance to make the case for their running mate and introduce themselves to the American people. A recent poll from CBS News found 68% of registered voters said they don't know enough about Kaine to form an impression of him. 60% said the same of Pence. Those introductions can go one of two ways. In these cases, both Lloyd Bentsen and Sarah Palin helped define themselves in front of a national audience.
Senator, I served with Jack Kennedy. I knew Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a friend of mine. Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Hey, can I call you Joe?
Today, Palin versus Biden is the most watched VP debate in history. It was seen by almost 70 million people. No one expects that kind of audience tonight in what's being called the Battle of the Normals. Joining me to talk about what they'll all be looking for are Michael Blake, who worked in the Obama presidential campaign, is now with the Institute of Politics at Harvard. He's also the co-chair, along with Tim Kaine, of the New Leaders Council. It's good to meet you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Kirsten Hughes, chair of the Massachusetts State Republican Party. Good to see you both. Kirsten, starting with you, what's the primary mission of your candidate tonight?
Well, Mike Pence is going to go out there and lower the risk, I think, that voters might be worried about in voting for Donald Trump, right? Mike Pence is the balance on the ticket. He is the smart, the politician, the person who never goes off message, and that's what he's going to deliver.
So you still need to convince you? I don't know where you are these days.
Well, I'm supporting the nominee, as always.
Exactly. Okay, fine. What's your guy have to do? What's Tim Kaine have to do tonight?
Well, I think first we have to make sure when we think about a VP candidate, VP nominee, lowering the risk is one of the reasons why this is so critical on tonight. You look at Tim Kaine and his remarkable track record as being a governor, as a senator, his relationship obviously with Senator and Secretary Clinton. This is about demonstrating why she is the best candidate for president and why people will be supportive of the Clinton-Kaine ticket.
You know, it seems to me Pence's job is much harder than meaning Kaine's, in part because Hillary Clinton has now taken over a lead, but also it seems to me that what Kelly Ayotte, the Republican running for Senate, running for re-election against the current governor, what she faced last night is a variation on what Mike Pence faces. If you didn't see that, she was asked a question about whether or not Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, could serve as a role model for children. Here's a bit of the question, and then here's her answer.
Would you point to him as a role model?
I think that certainly there are many role models that we have, and I believe can serve as president, and so absolutely, I would do that.
A little uncomfortable answering the question. 3 hours later, she tweets, "I misspoke tonight. Well, I would hope all our children would aspire to be president. Neither Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton have set a good example. I wouldn't hold up either of them as role models for my kids." I mean, it almost sounds like you, but isn't Pence in that situation? He's a real conservative. He's got to defend the guy who a lot of Republicans don't think is a real conservative. He's got to defend not paying taxes and disclosing them while Pence disclosed his own taxes. He's got to really, the bar is pretty high for this guy, no?
Well, look, this election is all about change, and people want change, and Hillary Clinton represents everything but change, right? She is the poster child for the political establishment, politics as usual, and that's clearly what the electorate doesn't want. So I think Mike Pence is going to go out there, and I think he's going to say, listen, you can take a chance with somebody who's an outsider, who's not going to come in here and be politics as usual. I think Mike Pence is well positioned to do that, and I think that's what he's been doing all along.
Donald Trump a role model for your kids?
I want my kids to be more like Justin Bieber in a boy band or something. They're cute, they're blonde, they're talented.
Okay, fine. Michael, it seems to me, a lot of people are saying that, the mission of your candidate is the old line, first do no harm. But if the moderator does a good job tonight, Elaine Quijano, one of the things she's going to say is you don't buy into the orthodoxy of the Democratic Party. For example, you support the reviled Hyde Amendment, passed in 1976, which says the federal government will not fund abortions for women unless rape, incest, and the health of the mother. That is anathema to a wide swath of the Democratic Party because poor women basically are in serious trouble unless they are pregnant. How does he deal with that, assuming it comes up tonight?
Well, again, we have to be focused on what is the purpose. The purpose is to demonstrate why the nominee in that instance, in this instance, Hillary Clinton, would be the best candidate for president. I think to counter something that was said by Kirsten, when we're looking at change and choice, the fact that Hillary Clinton is leading in the polls across the country and in swing states pretty much demonstrates where people are at right now. Now,
but that's more about Donald Trump's disastrous
Actually,
week than anything Hillary Clinton did.
She was ahead in the polls in swing states before that. She just expanded the lead. There's never been an instance where we've seen where Donald Trump's gotten 270. Now, we want to talk about Senator Kaine in Virginia, as we know in other places across the country. There's a variance in this Big Ten of Democrats in terms of the positions that they have. So if we're focused on what is at stake in this election, what's at stake is you have someone in Secretary Clinton where her first speech was on criminal justice reform, where Donald Trump said that we should have stop and frisk across the country, something that's been ruled as unconstitutional. What's at stake in this election is you have someone in Donald Trump where last week was not just a disastrous week, it's a continuation of the policies that he's put forth. And Mike Pence is not demonstrating any ability of conveying, you know what, that's wrong, I can't support this in that way.
Prior to 9 o'clock a week ago, Monday night, he was beating your candidate.
Actually, that's not accurate. When we think about in the Electoral College, who was leading the Electoral College across the country, Hillary Clinton was. There has never been any
Actually, Associated Press said he was at 270 on that particular night, using your number. But can we get back to your guy for a minute? Let me tell you why I disagree with you, potentially, even though this has not been the focus at all. He would be the oldest president in the history of the United States. Hillary Clinton would be the second oldest president of the United States. There have been health issues raised about both. It seems to me at some point tonight, it's not just can you defend your man or woman, can you serve as president of the United States?
And so you would have someone in Mike Pence who has shown no ability to demonstrate and communicate that he disagrees with the absolutely dangerous policies and proposals that Donald Trump has communicated, versus someone in Senator Kaine who has been a successful governor, successful United States senator who can demonstrate that. So I think at the end of the day, when you're looking at a vice president and what they can be, and you're looking at the impact of the debate, let's reflect on what happened versus VP Biden against Paul Ryan, and communicating very clearly, here's what's at stake when you are in the room, when you're that voice, when you're the person that can provide that counterbalance. We have heard absolutely reprehensible comments from Donald Trump, and Governor Pence has communicated essentially support for that, versus will you be that person that can advocate and also be that extra arm?
Does he have, I mean, that's interesting. Does Pence, the worst of Donald Trump that I know candidly troubles you as well, you've been pretty open about it.
Yes.
Does Mike Pence have to defend this tonight or say, frankly, I'm troubled by some of the things, which I think would make it pretty believable, because I assume he is troubled by some of the things Trump said, and then go on to say, however, his core values are X, Y, and Z. Can he do that, or does he have to walk lockstep like Michael says tonight?
Look, I think he has gone on record about saying things that he doesn't agree with Donald Trump. Certainly they differ, and he has talked about that. I think the number one thing for Mike Pence is to point out about Tim Kaine and his leadership and his lack of leadership, his raising taxes in Virginia, talking about his own record and coming out against that, and also demonstrating that he is a leader, that he has done a great job in Indiana, that he knows Washington, he served there in the Congress, that you need somebody to work within the structure and be the balance on the ticket.
The thing I don't understand, both from Trump and what your projection about what Pence does tonight, if I was Donald Trump last week when I got in trouble, you know, despite what the pundits say, I would have kept saying the same thing. Here's my list of 11 people I'm going to nominate to the Supreme Court of the United States who are going to be there for 30 years after I leave office. I mean, isn't that the core? If you're troubled with Donald Trump, you don't like this, at least if you're a conservative like you, he's going to appoint people who will further your agenda for decades, potentially. Why did that not cross his lips? And you don't think it's going to cross Pence's lips tonight?
No, I think it will. I mean, it's certainly something I think about, and I know that other Republicans who maybe didn't support Donald Trump in the primary think about. This is an important election because of the Supreme Court, because of those appointments. And, you know, it's interesting to me that when you talk about the polls or swing states, or now she got a bump out of the last debate.
Well, she did.
You know, well, yeah, but you know what? It's not for anything she did. I mean, the Clinton team is completely on the defensive all the time. Hillary Clinton has a continual trustworthiness problem.
Well, they both do.
With the
She was 54% unfavorable in the CNN poll last night. He's at 59%.
But that is not where somebody like Hillary Clinton should be, with such a high quotient of you know,
Can you do Nostradamus
popularity,
before you go? We only have
supposedly.
30 seconds left. Despite all the talk of what they're going to do, how it's going to matter, at 10:30 tonight, are we going to be saying what we've said after every other vice presidential debate? It really didn't matter.
No, it's going to matter. When we talk about the leadership, you look at Senator Kaine, where I have the honor of being a co-chair with him of New Leaders Council, who'll be able to demonstrate how he's mobilized people across the country and across the world, how he was a missionary revolutionary Honduras, and how he can be that voice in those conversations when Governor Pence has not indicated that. But it's important for us to make sure we're clear again. This is about a choice. This is about a contrast. And you have someone that is demonstrating in Donald Trump that he will say or do anything to divide the country versus Secretary Clinton is saying the absolute opposite. So that's what's going to happen tonight. You're going to see someone in Kaine that's going to demonstrate this is the vision we have for the country. And that's why people are going to be supporting and electing them in 5 weeks.
We shall see. Michael, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thanks so much. Kirsten, it's great to
Good
see
to
you
see
as
you, Jim.
always. Thank you both.